Welcome to Explore Classroom. My name is Gibbs Kuguru. I'm a shark scientist, a National Geographic explorer, and I will be your host for today. In National Geographic, we believe that anyone can be an explorer and that you have the power to change the world no matter how old you are. Explore Classroom is here to inspire you with stories from the field and connect you with our National Geographic explorers live to answer your questions. Before we get into today's lesson, I'd like to welcome all of the following classes who are joining us today, especially Snow Creek Elementary in Virginia, Pond Cove Elementary School in Maine, Anchorage Cyberlinks in Arkansas, Independence High School in California, Jordan's Environmental Science class in Georgia, Dunwoody High School in Georgia, and internationally, we have Roots School in Mexico, Clarence High School in India, Newton College in Peru, Elite SDGs in Peru, Indian Creek in Canada, and Puanaho in Hawaii. We are so glad to have you here. And friends, did you know that Saturday, March 22nd, was World Water Day? The United Nations observes this day every year to highlight the importance of fresh water. Today's explorer is Rosa Vasquez Espinoza. She will be teaching us just about that, from the importance of extreme water systems to the ones that impact our daily lives. Rosa is a Peruvian chemical biologist and founder of the Amazon Research International. Rosa's work focuses on groundbreaking research on extreme water ecosystems and biodiversity, and using traditional and modern science knowledge to advocate for the conservation of the Amazon and the water around the world. Rosa is from Lima, Peru, with indigenous roots in the high Andes and the Amazon rainforest. Her work has taken her to the Boiling River in the region of Huánuco, Peru, the Lake Michigan area in Michigan, and Yellowstone National Park in the United States. Rosa now lives in Bath, the United Kingdom, but she still constantly travels to all of these areas. We are so excited that Rosa is here live with us to share more about her work and answer questions from all of our audience members. Rosa, welcome to Explorer Classroom.
Hi, Gibbs. So good to see you. Thank you so much for the invite, the welcome, and thank you to all the classrooms or teachers joining us from literally all around the world.
Here, here. Rosa, it's such a pleasure. And I'm so curious to hear about this boiling river. Can you tell us some more?
Yeah, of course. So I have to start by saying that this is one of the most spectacular, outstanding landscapes and environments I have ever seen and ever witnessed in the entire planet. And before I tell you how I got there and how it looks like, I first want you guys to picture a pot of water. And when you put it in high temperature, it slowly starts to warm up until it starts boiling, right? And then if you are thinking of that actively, then you will remember the sounds that it makes. It's popping, it's splashing, and how it looks as the bubbles are literally boiling. And sometimes even vapor will come out and it's hot already. So you don't want to get too close because it can be dangerous. Now imagine that, but in a whole river. And that is what I'm talking about when I refer to the sacred boiling river in the Peruvian Amazon. And I want to show you a clip to tell you how we even get there before I tell you more about this extraordinary place. As an explorer, we have to travel great lengths across long rivers and difficult terrains that we need to hike through, like this part of the jungle where we're right next to a cliff, so we need to be careful, we need to stay mindful and very aware of our surroundings at all times. So it is not just a long journey with an airplane and a boat, but a long hiking journey that we need to get to. And even in some areas, we need to kind of do a little rock climbing. And I'll tell you something interesting about this specific video. So I want you to remember it, as I'm literally rock climbing in what we call the Spider-Man wall, because I need to grab from one corner of the rock to the next to avoid spilling into hot water. And where we are heading to is in the central Peruvian Amazon, a space that many didn't know about for a very long time, and that only local indigenous communities knew about this place and protected it. So I'm referring to the legendary boiling river of the Peruvian Amazon. Traditionally, communities call it the Shanai Timpishka, which in its traditional language, it means boil from the heat of the sun. That's how they explain the extraordinary strength in which this river is boiling. And as you see in this video, there are some parts that are not that hot. In fact, it starts as a cold stream, slowly starts to warm up in some sections, like this one particularly. You can even enter and even bath in there. Slowly it starts to get a little warmer. If you pay attention now, you can start to see some of the vapor rise above the water. So it starts to indicate a little danger, until it gets so hot that you're gonna see soon how the vapor is coming out so strongly from the water and getting lost into the sky. Now, this space, many didn't believe it was real, because how can a river boil for so long with that much energy constantly throughout the year? And I want to show you the next clip for you guys to feel what it is like when you actually get there after that long journey ahead.
Imagine a place that is so hot that the vapor is coming out in such intensity and quantity that it almost feels like it's mixing with the clouds per se. And if you're standing in one of the large rocks near the river, you actually can start sweating because you feel the vapor so hot and strong that anything alive that falls into it boils from inside out. So not only do you need to be holding on to your life on this rock that is a little slippery and has these splashes of boiling water, but you also have all sorts of critters like spiders and whatnot walking around you. And if you do one wrong step, you are into boiling water.
And you guys may be wondering why I'm even there. So I will be telling you more throughout today's talk, but I'm basically going to look for biodiversity that nobody knew could exist in this special place.
Well, that is absolutely unreal. Actually, watching you jump across those rocks kind of reminded me about playing the floor is lava. I don't know if you guys ever played that. Floor is lava, but with dire physical consequences. I get sweaty hands just thinking about it. And nature is so fascinating, friends. All right, students. Now that you've learned a little bit about the boiling river in Peru, I have a question for all of you. Teachers, get close to your keyboard so you can answer for your class. Our question is, what do you think the water in the Peruvian Boiling River is boiling? That is, why do you think the water in the Peruvian Boiling River is boiling? Answers are A, there's a volcano constantly erupting nearby, and the lava from that volcano is constantly heating up the water. B, heat is created by electric eels. There's a population of electric eels that lives in the water who create so much energy it heats up the water. C, the sun heats it up all day long. The river is closer to the sun in that area, so that's why it gets really hot. Or D, a crack in the Earth's surface heats it from below. Deep underground, beneath the river, there's a crack in the Earth's surface that allows the water to get close to the Earth's very hot core, which heats it up. All right, teachers, you should see a poll on your screen now. I'm going to pause and be quiet to give you some time to think and answer. Let's start the countdown. All right. I am looking at the poll results right now, and it appears that everyone has answered D, a crack in the Earth's surface, heating it up from below. And from YouTube, it seems like we have about 55% saying that it was D, a crack in the Earth, and then 44% saying that it was from the sun. Seems like we're pretty split here. Rosa, can you tell us?
Yeah, that's fascinating. So for those that answer on YouTube, that the answer C, that it's heated from the heat of the sun, I referred to it a little bit. That's what the communities that live in this area for centuries originally thought. By observation, that is how they describe the things that they see around. And that is why the traditional name of this river in the indigenous language reflects that, that is boiled from the heat of the sun. Although it's such a beautiful way to think about it, is not quite accurate. The scientifically accurate answer is D. And let me explain you a little bit more. So we have the whole structure of Earth. And right at the center, we have the core, which is a very extremely hot space. Now, the whole planet, the whole Earth isn't perfect. There are certain cracks that just naturally happen. And whenever there's a crack, that means that all the water and sediments that are moving basically through all these layers, getting even close to the core, when it gets really hot, then that means that water is getting warmed up and then it's moving constantly until eventually reaching the surface of the planet. And because there happens to be these tiny, tiny small cracks, then it eventually resurfaces as such a beautiful and unique place like the Boiling River. And in this case, it happens to be in the heart of the jungle. And in my particular case, the reason why I was even interested in this place, besides the fact that it's fascinating, it's extreme, and nobody had looked at it, was because for a very long time, people thought because it's so hot, nothing can live inside it, right? Because what happens when you have boiling hot water, let's say in the kitchen, and you put a piece of chicken or a piece of meat inside? All of that protein cooks. So what happens when an animal falls in it? It means it cannot survive. It dies rather quickly and painfully. And so because of that, for a very long time, nobody think that anything could survive until we ask a different question. And that is what we do as explorers. That's why anybody that is curious is an explorer in my eyes. We wonder, well, okay, maybe not large animals, but what about other types of life, like microorganisms, tiny beings that perhaps are not visible to the naked eye, but that have developed their DNA and their chemistry to thrive and live where nothing else can. And so my work focused on looking at what microbes, what form of extreme microbes that we also known as extremophiles, because they love the extremes, could be living here, and what could they be teaching us about this unique space and how to protect it too.
Man, I am so fascinated and really curious to know more about, these extremophiles and how they can survive there. But before we move on, students, I actually have another question for you. Rosa has just told us that she studies extremophiles, which are the microbes that live in extreme environments. My question for you is, why do you think Rosa is studying these microbes? And why are extreme microbes or extremophiles important? The answers are A, they are harmful to all other living things. B, they help keep the ecosystem healthy. C, they are the largest living thing on Earth. Or D, they can be a good food source for humans. Teachers, you should see a poll on your screen now. So I'm going to pause and be quiet and give you some time to think and answer. So let's start the countdown. All right. Looking at the answers on Zoom, and again, 100% quorum on this on B, saying that they need to keep the ecosystem healthy, which would have been my guess too. Thank you so much for these answers, friends. Let's go back to our expert, Rosa, to find out why it is important to study extremophiles.
That is absolutely the correct answer, everyone. Microbes in general are so vital for life on this planet, not just in this extreme boiling river of Peru, and not just in the rainforest, but everywhere in the planet, from the oceans, mountains, deserts, even it's the landscapes such as Antarctica, but also our human bodies. Now, specifically, extreme microbes are fascinating because they help sustain life in so many ways. For example, they can do photosynthesis. You know how plants and trees do it? Some microbes can also do that. Specifically, one of my favorite microbes that we'll get to talk a bit more later. This means that these extreme microbes can take in sunlight and turn it into energy and clean oxygen that makes life on this planet habitable. It allows us to survive. Some of these extreme microbes also break down waste and harmful chemicals, so making the environment clean. Others can help plants grow by providing essential nutrients and vitamins in the soil. So as scientists, we study these extreme microbes to also understand how life came to be in these extreme conditions, which could also help to think about when we search for life on other planets out there in space. So although they're so tiny that you cannot even see them without a microscope, they play such a big role in keeping all of our ecosystems balanced. And this is a beautiful example of how water connects all of us, even if we may not see such a clear connection at times. And understanding these extreme microbes can help us monitor the quality of water as well as pollution and the impact of hot water and vapor on the plants and animals in the area. And I actually have a video to show you so you can see what it is like to collect microbes from the field. And in the video, our team was there to collect cyanobacteria, which is a specific type of microbe. So let's go take a look. We are here at the extraordinary Boiling River, and today I'm going to show you how we collect cyanobacteria. First of all, what is cyanobacteria? They are the oldest forms of photosynthetic bacteria, and they look like a dark green color, similar to this. So first I'm going to take a little bit, put it under my field microscope to see if they are true cyanos before I collect them to take them back to the lab. Beautiful. I see filamentous cyanobacteria that I am dying to take back now with me. So I'll collect a little bit more, put it into this tube, and then take it back to the lab to see if we can unlock the genetic code that allows these microorganisms to survive where everything else dies. So that was just a quick glimpse into how we get to work in these extreme spaces. And it ain't easy because it's hot and the vapor is reaching your face, but it is necessary for the work we want to do.
Wow, that was so cool, Rosa. Do you also study microbes in other extreme environments?
Yes, I do. And I'm so glad you asked that because these extreme water systems aren't just found in the Amazon rainforests. And another place that many of you may have heard of that is also one of my favorite places on this planet is Yellowstone National Park in the US. And it is a big space, beautiful ecosystems that are very different to one another. But one particular one that I really like, it's called Mammoth Hot Springs. So let's take a look now.
When I'm exploring around nature, I love when I get to see bodies of water such as Mammoth Hot Springs, one of my favorite spots in all of Yellowstone. The significance of this place, it's beyond imagination. Not only is this unique travertine form in the natural terraces we see here, but we also find unique forms of extreme microbes that have made this place home by adapting their organisms for millions and millions of years to live in these hot extreme temperatures. But the cultural significance of this location is also really big. The Shoshone people that used to live in this area used to come and bathe in these hot alkaline waters because they consider them medicinal and healing, both for the body and the spirit.
So as you can see there, you have so many colors and vastly different spaces and structures, but they are all just so fascinating. And so I was really curious to know, well, we have a boiling river in the Peruvian Amazon, and we have a boiling river and boiling waters in Yellowstone. Is there any similarity? They are very far apart, and the way they came to be is very different. But what could we learn if we did that comparison? And so that was part of my work as well. And what was fascinating is that yes, each system is unique, and each place has its unique set of minerals and nutrients. But we discovered that several of the microbes we were looking at were actually similar. And I think that was such a testament that water ultimately connects all systems, and that through studying something as tiny as microbes without interrupting the ecosystem, we really can get a window into the whole state of an ecosystem to ensure we can best protect it.
Wow, that is fascinating. And those extremely beautiful environments that you get to go to, man, I'm so jealous. And also interesting to learn how all of these, species are connected to each other in such different places. All right, students, I have another challenge for you. We've learned that Rosa and her team have collected samples of different organisms from these extreme environments. I'm going to show you a few photographs of organisms, and I'm hoping you can help me identify if they are plants, animals, or microbes. Are you ready to become explorers and practice your observational skills? Good? Great. Now, you will see a picture on the screen in a moment, and a poll will pop up. So teachers, get close to the keyboard so you can help your students answer the question. Let's take a look at the first sample. Do you think that this is a plant, animal, or a microbe? I'm going to pause and be quiet to give you some time to think and answer. Let's start the countdown. All righty. Looks like we have a pretty even split between animal and microbe, both at about 43%. And then we also have a small contingent that says it's a plant. Rosa, what's the correct answer?
I love to see all the guesses, and the correct answer is that it's a poor moth-like animal that fell into the boiling waters. So animal, that is the correct answer.
All right. Good job, everyone. Now let's take a look at the next sample. Do you think this is a plant, animal, or a microbe? Again, I'm going to stay quiet for a few moments and give you some time to answer. Start the countdown. right. It looks like everyone's on their A game because A, plant was selected the most at 88%, and there's 13% that said microbe. I'm curious, Rosa, is this one a plant indeed?
This one was a tricky one depending on what angle and how close you look at it. Because it could look like a microbe, but no, the real answer is that it is a plant. It's actually the stems of this tiny small plant that I found really close to some hot boiling waters in Yellowstone. And what is beautiful is that it had these teeny tiny yellow flowers that when you get to look at them up close, so I was using a field microscope so that I could magnify my point of view. It looks like such a complex system, but yet it was as small as like the tip of my finger, but you can see the whole beauty in this up close photo.
That is unreal. By the way, I want to get one of those microscopes. That looks so cool. All right, we're doing great so far, everyone. Let's go to the next one. Is this a plant, animal, or microbe? Let's see what you guys say. All right, 100% of you said microbe. Now, I would be also probably in the microbe gang. Rosa, can you tell us where we sit?
This one was also a tricky one because of the movement, the color, even the structure of the thing that is moving in there. So I do get why a lot of people will say microbe, but no, it's actually an animal. It was a very interesting some sort of larva that I actually saw in the boiling river of Peru. Now you may be wondering, but I literally just told you no animal can survive. Well, that is true in the hottest spots, the ones where the most vapor is coming and the temperature reaches 99 Celsius. In some other areas, it can still be really hot. So it would be uncomfortable for you and I to be inside the water for too long. But some tiny animals, in particular these larvae, we saw movement in the field and we were like, wait, it makes no sense. We have seen no large, like no animal really so far. But yet there was this tiny, teeny larva that has adapted, and it's you can call it a form of extreme animal that you also actually happen to see in some extreme desert environments where certain insects adapt to the extreme hot temperatures.
Oh, me and that larva have a lot in common. I also like hot weather. All right, keep up the great work, everyone. Let's go on to the last one. Is this a plant, animal, or a microbe? All right, it looks like most are saying microbe at about 88%. There's a couple folks saying animal, and if I look over on YouTube, 89% are also saying microbe, with about 10% saying plant. I can't figure it out, Rosa. What is this one?
Now in this one, the color is being a bit tricky because it almost screams plant. But
Mhm.
no, this is an actual microbe. It's actually one of my favorite microbes that I was mentioning at the beginning. It's a type of cyanobacteria. So one of those that can photosynthesize and make oxygen, basically. It's moving slowly, as you can see. It has a very particular structure. Now, something else that I really like about this particular kind of microbe is that when many of them come together, so when they form a big family or a big community, they get to be so many and so abundant that they become visible to the naked eye, and they can take different colors and different shapes. And there was a particular one that I got to see in one of these hot extreme spaces that when coming together, it looked like something from Mars, from outer space. But no, this is just an up close view of this type of cyanobacteria that looks a little orange, but because it's producing a type of chemical that allows it to protect from the sun.
Wow. Okay. So we actually have a question from one of the classes. Can you explain the difference between a microbe and an animal? I thought microbes were animals, but Rosa, can you give us a simple answer to this question?
Yeah, absolutely. So microbes are much simpler organisms in terms of the simplicity of the cells, but that doesn't mean they're less important or less vital in their functions. In the terms, in case of animals, we are talking about many, many specialized cells that develop into different type of organelles and more specialized structures like a limb or like a head. And so they become a lot more complex while microbes stay more simple. But that simplicity is also really cool because it allows us to study them in real time and to also study them in the laboratory.
Oh, right on. I've got to say, Rosa, these pictures are so stunning. I mean, I could look at these samples all day, and I love the perspective that you're exploring, this micro life. So, where do the student explorers have to go if they want to explore cool biodiversity like this?
So you really don't need to be traveling to the depths of the Amazon rainforest or even Yellowstone National Park to go and explore and find and discover biodiversity in the water. You can explore microbes and living things in the water too anywhere. And that is the beauty of exploration. And everyone should keep that in mind because water connects all of the ecosystems in the world. And so right now, my home is in England, and to show you how anybody can become an explorer really anywhere, even in their own backyard, I went out to our local river, which is just a few minutes away from my home, to explore, and I took a video for you. Let's take a look.
Hi guys! The beauty of exploration is that it reminds us we don't need to go to the depths of the Amazon jungle or the boiling waters of Yellowstone in order to learn something new and to appreciate nature. Like in this space, I'm just taking a break for my morning run in the countryside of England, and let me show you where I am. Water connects everything. It gives life to flowers and trees and animals around. It makes sure that soils stay healthy, and it helps regenerate life all around. Water also gives us life. It is our duty to protect it and to keep it clean.
And so I wanted to record that video to show you that we can ask questions and we can be curious and we can explore literally anywhere. And I am so excited, particularly to talk to all of you guys all around wherever you are calling from, because you guys are the explorers of the future. And really, this is a reminder that scientists can be anybody in the world, can be students like you, can be teachers, can be librarians. We can all be scientists.
Here, here. And thank you for being such an awesome example of what it means to be an explorer, Rosa. And also, thank you for bringing us into the field with you to get an insight into your incredible work. We have had so much fun learning about all the extreme water environments and the microbes that live in those places. And I know we have some questions, but before we hop onto the question and answer portion of the show, I have a question for all of you. So, teachers, get near your keyboard so you can type your students' answers into the chat bar. My question is, which waterway would you like to explore next? And what organism do you think you'll find there? Notice that there are two parts of the question here, which are which waterway would you like to explore next? And what organism do you think you'll find when you get there? I'll stay quiet so you have some time to type your answers in. Looking forward to it. All right. So I'd like to read some of these answers. From Miss Bucci's fourth graders, they said they want to explore the vernal pools in Robinson Woods and find amphibians there. Frogs and toads, we love it. Good Tree Homeschool says Mississippi River and hoping to find some fish. Miss Daly's course 3 class says that we would like to explore the local Vermilion River and see if there are microbes in there. I hope you guys carry a microscope. Rosa, you have to tell us where to get some of those things, huh? WMS Wildcat says the Nile River, and we'll find crocodiles and microorganisms. Good luck. Stay safe out there, guys. Don't do anything I wouldn't. Roots says, I think it's pronounced cenote, and they expect to find lots of like bacteria in blind fish. I've never heard of blind fish. You guys will have to tell me all about that, and I'll get a couple more here. Mrs. Lee's environmental STEM class says the Caribbean Sea, and we'll find some beautiful sharks. Yes, you got my favorite answer yet. And then we have Anchorage. Cyberlink says waterfalls and plants there. All right, guys, thank you for all your answers, friends, especially the sharky ones. And I hope you all get a chance to go out and explore the places you would like to. I can't wait to hear about what you find there. All right, now it's time for you guys to ask Rosa some questions. So if you're watching on YouTube, send us your questions using the chat bar. We record all of them as they're sent in, so please send each question only once. And teachers, please let us know who's asking the question so we can give your class or student a shout out. If you're watching on Zoom, use the hand raise function at the bottom of your screen to let me know that your class has a question. We'll call on as many classes as time allows. So if we call on you, remember to use a nice loud voice to ask the question. And if you have any issues with your microphone, you can go ahead and type your question into the chat. All right, we'll take another question from YouTube, coming from Selena in Miss Bowker's 3rd grade class. Question is, did you ever get burned?
Luckily, not me. We always take so many precautions in the field. You guys saw a little bit in the videos how dangerous it can be. That video that was shown at the beginning that I told you, remember this as the Spider-Man wall? I had to take all the precautions because although you cannot quite clearly see from the video, the water below me, it's 80 Celsius. That means if I fall, I will be severely injured. And so I practice, I train for that. I made sure to have people that were professionals near me to do that. Unfortunately, we did have the case of a team member getting injured, and he developed 3rd-degree burns in his feet. Luckily, we had a nurse, and he has fully recovered since, and he continues to do all his hiking, and he could continue everything as normal. But I think we always have to put safety first when working in the field, and preparation is key for that.
Yeah, here. I gotta say that is an important part of being an explorer is definitely making sure you come out alive, and not not the other way around. I'm curious how long it takes to make some top ramen in some of that boiling river. That's gonna be my experiment on your trip. All right. All right, we have another question coming from YouTube. Kirsten from Peel Elementary is asking, how does Rosa make sense of all the data she collects? Age-old question for a scientist, huh?
That is always the ultimate question, I will say, guys, for all scientists and explorers. We need to make sure we stay organized, and that is why having a team is critical, as well as organizing the data as you go, making sure you keep all the records. I am a fan to keep as much information of absolutely everything and never deleting anything. That has been my biggest lesson. And so I use a lot of computer power to do that. I collaborate with people that are experts in different areas so that we can compare our analysis, so that we can incorporate multiple perspectives as well, not just from a pure scientific and, let's say, biological or chemical perspective, but what about the social aspects? What about the anthropological? What about the artistic side? And that is really what makes exploration so powerful and so impactful too.
Oh, I love that incorporating of perspectives. These are the right questions to ask. Thank you, Rosa. Another question is coming from YouTube, which is, what inspired Rosa to pick this career, and how did you choose scientist?
To be fairly honest, the reason why I picked a career in science, why I decided to become a scientist, was because I love nature so much. I love playing outdoors. I loved asking questions. I loved learning and investigating, and I just wanted to learn more. And so I loved plants. I love animals. I love water. I loved soils. And the more I would learn in classes like you guys about what biology meant and what chemistry and about physics, I just thought it seemed like there was always something new to learn. Like it seemed like I could always learn something new. And that made me feel really happy. And that is a big reason as to why I said, well, maybe I can become a scientist. Nobody in my family was a scientist before. So I didn't really know what that looked like. I didn't really know the path, but I just kept learning and asking questions and studying as best as I could until I eventually took on that path.
Right on. Staying curious. I love it. All right, now we have time for one final question today. Rosa, what final message do you have or want to give to the next generation of explorers watching today?
I would say, you guys, that remember that water connects everything in our planet, whether that is a remote river in the Amazon forest or the boiling waters of Yellowstone, or even a cold lake in North America, or a stream in your own backyard or in your own school. Water shapes life everywhere. And by studying the tiny yet mighty microbes that live in these waters, we can uncover clues about our planet's past, our present, and our future, and learn how to better take care of our ecosystems that are so important for us. And I also want to leave you with the message that we are all explorers. We all are scientists, and I am excited to see what you will do in the future too.
Hey, thank you, Rosa, for joining us today and for that inspiring final message. Teachers, if you and your class are curious about all other things Rosa has discovered, her book, The Spirit of the Rainforest, is coming out very soon. Here's the link to the book if any classroom is interested. Rosa, can you share some things about the book?
Sure, I shared about my decade-long explorations. It is a fun book if you like nature, if you like science, but from a very adventure type of perspective. I have poured all of these stories, biodiversity, animals, plants, and stories that most have never even heard of. So it's a ride of adventure.
Right on. We are looking forward to it. And thank you, Rosa, and all the students and teachers watching. We will be back with another exciting Explorer Classroom in 2 weeks on April 10th. So join us with Explorer Christian Stenner to learn about his incredible journey into the glacial-volcanic caves, rare formations created where volcanoes made of fire and glaciers made of ice meet. You don't want to miss this adventure, so register now at natgeoed.org/explorerclassroom. Lastly, we would love to hear from you. Teachers, please take a moment to fill out this quick survey and let us know how you enjoyed today's show. The link is in the chat. You can also share about your experience on social media using the hashtag ExplorerClassroom. From all of us at National Geographic, have a wonderful day, stay curious, and keep exploring, and we'll see you next time on Explorer Classroom. All right, bye-bye, guys.